What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about 5 things House of Ashes needs to do better than Little Hope. So yesterday, I talked about some of the biggest mistakes I think Little Hope made, and it was negative, I would say, overall. I mean, it was a more pointing out kind of video. But in this video, I want to turn it into more constructive things. I want to talk about some of those negatives and talk about how they can be improved, right? There's not much you can say of a person if all they do is point out negatives, but there's really no way of making it better, right, if they don't say that, okay? So I want to try and do that in this video. Want to have a couple other Little Hope videos as long as you guys continue to continue to support, all that stuff. Make sure if you do like them, you are subscribing, you are hitting that bell. All of my other social media stuff as well is in the description below. My Twitter, my Discord, my second channel. If you guys haven't checked those out yet, please support me over there, and let's just jump right in. So, again, this is going to be pointing out negatives, but turning them into positives with House of Ashes. So what does the game need to do well? For number one, in my opinion, these are all, by the way, these are only my opinions, right? You can only go so far as to say that, is have a consistent, well-rounded cast. So this goes all the way back till Until Dawn. And I think what you'll find, by the way, throughout these videos is I am trying to push the game to go not necessarily copycatting Until Dawn, because obviously that doesn't get you anywhere either, but go back to the fundamentals that worked and the ambitiousness that worked back then that they have seemingly lost since then, okay? So the cast, Ashley Tisdale, I think is a good first, thing. I think she, similar tier to the actors and actresses we got in Until Dawn, I feel like she probably would be far and away the lead of Man of Medan or Little Hope, but when it comes to, again, House of Ashes, obviously she's the lead star. That's very evident. Again, I think she's a big name. She is, she's not like a huge AAA actress, but she's a very, very solid one. I think she can be great, okay? I actually am not worried about her in the slightest. The issue, I think, is going to be on the supporting cast. It's something Man of Medan did, I would say, terribly. Little Hope, I have given them credit. I said that I'm not a big fan of the dialogue. I'm not a big fan of the acting consistently in Little Hope, but it's just that. I think the acting in Little Hope was very inconsistent. Sometimes all 5 of them would be very, very good. In fact, I even said that all of the flashbacks of their, their dual personas were all fantastic. I actually think they all were acted really, really well. The present day stuff, though, was such a swing. Some of them sometimes were really good. Some of them were absolutely awful at other times. I think Andrew, the main lead, was probably the most consistently good in Little Hope. Again, I think we would get that with Ashley Tisdale, which is fine, and you need that, but the rest of the cast, whoever the rest of the cast is, which we don't even know yet, the rest of the cast needs to be consistently solid. Maybe not amazing, but it needs to be consistently solid. There cannot be waves where I really question how they are actors or actresses in the first place. So that is the number one thing. The second thing is payoffs. If you set something up, you have to pay it off at some point. Normally, it's at the end or at the end of the setup, right? That's how movies, that's how television, that's how games, everything is set up that way. You set something up, and then you have to have a resolution. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It can be, in some way, but you need to have a payoff to it. This is going to, by the way, spoilers for Little Hope. This is the issue I think Little Hope and Man of Medan both failed with, is their setups were solid. They weren't the greatest thing. I would say Little Hope's was actually really solid, okay? The idea of the Salem witch trials, that got me. I love that idea. Like I said, I love the idea of basically their present selves were influencing the events of the past, which made people believe there was witchcraft. I mean, that was cool. But the issue is that payoff, and again, this is spoilers, the payoff is none of it was real. Now, maybe some of it was real, but that whole journey that they were going on, Andrew imagined the entire thing. So I really didn't think that was a good payoff at the end at all. I felt like it was a big slap to the face that all of this stuff that you had just done was literally completely worthless. Like, no, I mean, all it ended up doing was if Andrew got arrested, if Andrew ended himself, or if Andrew forgave himself. That was the only things that were resolved. That was the payoff at the end, okay? That's not good enough. Man of Medan. And by the way, again, even the supernatural aspects, they weren't real either. Like, he was imagining the whole thing. Man of Medan, all of that setup was not real. It was just the gas in the boat. You look at Until Dawn, the Wendigos were real. They were actually real beings, right? That is cool. They took that, they broke that wall and said, hey, we're going to go into the supernatural and we're okay with that. And they've never done it again. They've teased it, but they've never had the gall to stick with it and say, no, we are going to commit to there's some weird stuff going on. No, there isn't actually. Both of these things were kind of freak incidents that were caused by a gas and were caused by a person's messed up mind. That's it. There was nothing else. And so the payoff was not there, in my opinion. House of Ashes needs to have that payoff. The ending, whatever they set up, if they're setting up kind of like the tombs and all of these, like whatever, these ancient creatures, whatever they do, I mean, I would say stick with it. If you're going to go, supernatural, mythological, you stick with it. You just commit to it and you say, you know what, we're doing it. We're going to break that wall. It doesn't always have to be all realistic, right? That's what I want them to do in the next one. It's something they haven't done in the other ones. The third one is not be boring. This is pretty easy, right? But again, I mean, this is what Until Dawn did. Until Dawn was not boring, but I would go so far as to say Man of Medan and Little Hope were extremely boring. There was very little horror, which I do want to talk. That's like the next part, so we'll keep this one brief. Just don't make it boring. You have to spice things up. That does go into the next two things I want to talk about, but make it seem like we're part of this adventure. These games, look, they're not all that long. They're 4 hours. They're 4.5 hours. They could even be shorter. They could be like 3.5 to 4.5 hours, let's say. That's not a lot of time. I should not feel like I'm there forever. I should feel like I could play this in one sitting and I am fully like enticed by it the entire time. That's what I should feel. I did not feel that. I felt like Little Hope was like 8 hours instead of 4, right? Even with Until Dawn, like I wanted to play that game nonstop until I beat it, and that game was much longer. That game was around 8 to 10 hours. So those are the kind of things that you get with Until Dawn that you don't have with the other ones. And obviously, being exciting, being a lot of different things is the main reason for that. So, to go into how it can't be boring, we got to go into the next two things. Different ways of presenting horror is my number 4. This one's huge. This one is honestly kind of a make or break thing because this is what Little Hope didn't do. Again, I talked about this yesterday. I'm a baby when it comes. I'll repeat this part. I'm a baby when it comes to horror. I'm a scaredy cat. I play horror games, but I give myself heart attacks. Movies, I just flat out do not watch most horror movies. I watch like the Screams of the world, right? Like smart kind of meta ones, but really aren't all that scary like at all. That's what I do. I was not scared one time with Little Hope. Even Man of Medan, I think I got scared probably a handful of times, but they were all jump scares. All jump scares. So like this is the classic. What was one of the main things people hated about It Chapter 2 was that the entire movie, the scary parts were all just jump scares. They had no way, for some reason, they forgot how to do tension. They forgot how to do build up. They forgot how to mess with your mind. Not even just like what with the first It, but other horror movies in general. There are multiple ways of doing horror, and Supermassive Games has seemingly, again, after, not with Until Dawn, after Until Dawn, realized or discovered in their own whatever, I don't even know how you come up with this idea, that the only way to scare people is by doing jump scares. There's no other way of getting people in these games besides jump scares, and that is flat out not the case. The reason why PT, in my mind, could be the great, even though it's literally just a demo, the reason, though, why it's so absolutely incredible is I don't think there's another game, especially at that length of how long that, again, the demo is, of building tension and of building atmosphere. The game does it. It's just so eerie. I just never wanted to turn that corner in the hallway, right? Never. I never wanted to look behind me. You know what I mean? And like things constantly change. There are multiple ways of doing horror, and again, they just have decided that there's only one way of doing horror. So you gotta switch it up. You gotta build tension. You gotta just do anything besides doing jump scares. I think those are getting old. I saw besides like maybe 2 in Little Hope, I saw every single jump scare coming where I was not scared one time. And the final thing is changing up the mechanics and getting away from the normal, the normalcy of these games. Now, the issue here, and I've said this before, and I don't hear many people saying it. In fact, I've heard nobody say it. So let me say it one more time. The biggest issue I have with this is that Supermassive admitted, this was in an interview like over a year ago, but they admitted that the idea with this anthology is it's 8 games, but they really are not all that different. Again, they admitted that while they're changing up, how they, let's say like the catch of the game, they're changing up the characters, they're changing up the location. The game's mechanics, the core mechanics, are going to be literally the exact same for every single game. They are not changing it. They went so far as to say that they won't change it. And like if they really feel like they need to add something, maybe they will. But besides that, they're going to do it the exact same way every time. And that scares the heck out of me. I don't know how nobody else really points that out, but they basically admitted that the style of these characters, and it's only going to be like this group of characters, and obviously we've seen how there's something going on in the world and then it's resolved right at the end. Maybe there's like a twist. The beginning is obviously very influential to the rest of the game. They did that with both games. They also did that with Until Dawn. Basically, they've admitted that they're going to do the exact same thing every time, okay? Now, maybe not there's a room for diversity, but that scares me. They need to not, somehow you cannot do that. Because let me tell you, even in Little Hope, and I've said this before, I'm a big fan of QuickTime events. I actually am not in the group that says like they should be, disbanded from the world. I'm actually fine with them. They were terrible, I would say, in Little Hope. They were boring. There was no tension there. They only had, you knew when they were all coming. They seemed to make it a little too easy to do QuickTime events. And then even like the action-y scenes where you felt like your characters were in grave danger, I just didn't feel much. And maybe it's because I've already done it. Like maybe Until Dawn had that grab that can never be achieved again. But I really don't think so. I mean, yes, there was tension and there was a lot of stress with, I guess specifically with those QuickTime events, that you can maybe lose a person. But there was a lot more to Until Dawn than just that. And so, again, I think, picking it apart, what made Until Dawn special? There's a lot of things. And again, you don't have to copy Until Dawn, but to use some of the basic things that you talked about and you did back then that you've seemingly gotten away from with these last two games, that's what you need to do. Am I optimistic for that? To be honest with you, I'm not, because the idea is to make 8 games. The idea is to make them in a very short amount of time. They don't really have time to go off the beaten road. I mean? They're on a path, and they don't want to, veer left, right? They want to stay on it. And that is a little scary because I don't think you're going to get very fulfilling, like satisfying, like where it's really fleshed out and you can feel like every game is truly different and like really, I don't know, just really out there and has very creative ideas. I don't think we're getting that. You know what I mean? Again, I think Little Hope had some creative ideas, but I don't think we're going to get a fully fleshed out game under the current. So to end this actually pretty pessimistically, I don't know if we're going to be able to get some truly outstanding. It would be cool if the last game was an Until Dawn 2, like just to maybe make fun of people that have been asking for it for nonstop. That would be kind of funny. We'll see how it goes, but those are my things. I definitely want to hear from you guys in the comments below. Let me know what you guys think. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on. Like I said, all my other stuff, my Twitter, my Discord, my second channel, all of that is in the description below if you guys want to support me there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.